He says, I started a directory site like you suggested. Oh, I read this earlier. This is great. Check this out, guys. He said, I started a directory site like you suggested. I've only got about 20 places listed so far, and the site is a couple of months old. What's crazy is that it's starting to rank for brand names of the businesses I have listed. I didn't expect this, but pretty cool. It's also ranking for the keyword plus city, where most of my places are located. Page 7, but still, yeah, that's good. I haven't optimized it at all, just randomly placing businesses on there right now. My question, I'm going to create a few small pages on the directory that are optimized for different cities and towns and see if they start to rank. So if so, I'm thinking this could be a way to find easy rank and rent targets for this niche, similar to the YouTube poking method. Your thoughts? Yeah, that's a great idea. Part of what that's a great idea. And by the way, congratulations for taking action on setting up a directory site, James. I've been preaching that for over a year now to everybody that will listen. And in our mastermind, I've developed full SOPs for how to build the directory site and build a whole prospecting and outreach system around it. It's a series of SOPs. There's 8 of them in total. And so it's very, very thorough training. It took me a year and a half to develop that myself, and in 6 months to develop the training into the SOPs. No shit. There's 2 years in development for that, but it's outstanding. And we've got several members in our mastermind that have started to implement that and are seeing, we've had a few of our members talk about really good results with already starting to land clients, book sales calls and everything else from their directory site. So congratulations on taking action. Again, if more people would take action on that, they would get a lot better results. So good for you. As far as, can you use that? Yeah. If for whatever reason, the niche that you chose and the industries and your directory is just ranking well, and sometimes it's unexplainable why they do, then yeah, why not, use that. Try it, test it first, try a few, create 4 or 5 pages in different keyword plus city combinations, and maybe try varying degrees of difficulty as far as, just from basic research up front, determine if you can, try testing a few of these pages in a few different, areas that have different degrees of difficulty. Okay. And see if you start to get some results from that and you can rank, then yeah, why not? I mean, use that. You could use that in conjunction also with stuff like Live Rank Sniper, excuse me. And a combination of the two. And what's interesting is if you find areas, and I'm just going to go back to the Live Rank Sniper thing, because I don't use my directory for poking. Poking is just a term, guys, for testing keywords. I don't use my directory for that, although my directory ranks, I don't really use it for that. But what I'm saying is that I like to use Live Rank Sniper for this stuff. And if I find stuff that keywords that I can rank for fairly easily with Live Rank Sniper, then I know that I can then go in and build more permanent assets. Because for a lot of YouTube videos, guys, local terms, YouTube videos might rank initially very, very quickly for low competition stuff, but a lot of the times they won't stick. They don't last for very long. So I like to use the poking method as a way to identify areas that I can rank for with high authority properties very quickly with very little work other than just on-page optimization and piggybacking on the authority of the sites, the platforms that I'm publishing the content on. That's part of the reason why YouTube is a good source for that to start with, because it's so authoritative. It will rank easy. But what I'm saying is if you go and poke some keywords or, keyword plus location combinations that you find you can rank for fairly easily with Live Rank Sniper, for example, then that would be where I would go in and start publishing pages on the directory site, for example, and other assets. That brings me back to what I was talking about with the Twitch channel that I created. One of the first things I'm going to be doing is when I'm streaming live to the Twitch channel is I'm going to be going through a process of rank and rent SEO from start to finish on how to identify an industry and a niche, identify an area that you want to target for keywords in that industry that you've selected. First, we're going to go through this entire process from start to finish, like soup to nuts, as they say, right? A to B or A to Z, I'm sorry. But from literally the entire process. And that's one of the things I want to do on the Twitch channel to start with is go through that process. And it might be a month-long process where 2 or 3 days per week, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesdays and Thursdays or something like that. I spend an hour on Twitch just working on the rank and rent SEO process from start to finish, literally going from dead start, a cold start, like not knowing what industry I want to do attack. Now because I have tree contractors in areas, I know I'm already going to target tree contractors for what I'm going to be building out throughout that process. But I'm going to go through the process of how to identify a market, determine if it's profitable, determine if it's a good market to be in as far as for lead gen stuff, because you always want to be you want to select an industry that either has steady demand or increasing demand over time, if that makes sense. You don't want to be in an industry that has declining demand. So we're going to go through that entire process, and we're going to go through the keyword research and discovery process, which is where Live Rank Sniper comes in, that as well as another tool. Then we're going to go through actually poking those keywords once we've done the keyword research. The discovery part is the poking. Once we've identified keywords that we can rank for easily, then we're going to go into some fast ranking Web 2.0 building. So I'm going to go through a series of different types of properties that we can build out very quickly that should rank in place of the YouTube videos that once we've done the discovery process and determine the keywords that we can rank for fairly easily. Then we just go out and publish content on some high authority sites like Weebly, for example, Blogger, Tumblr. I'm going to be doing some stuff around using expired tumblers for ranking for these cloud pages, right? G sites, all of this stuff that I'm going to be going through on how to build out and really target a market and go through the entire process to where we can just really take over a market for rank and rent. And then after that, once we've achieved the results, about monetizing them too. So like I said, it might be a month, might even be a 6-week long process to go through to complete all of that stuff out. But I want to go through an entire process of rank and rent SEO, because that's, for my own agency, that's going to be one of the big things I focus on for 2023 is building out a lot more rank and rent or lead gen assets. But I want to stick with the easier to manage rank and rent process than like pay per lead or revenue share, which requires a lot more like tracking and everything else. So anyways, that's of interest to you at all, come check it out. Back to James's question. James, yeah, I think that's a great idea, using your directory if it's ranking well right now for whatever reason. And by the way, that brings me back to something else. There's just like Terry Kyle. Anybody that's been in the SEO industry for a while would recognize Terry Kyle's name. He owns WPX Hosting and Cloud Boss, and I use Cloud Boss for a lot of link building stuff. It's fabulous. Anyways, Terry's a legend in the SEO industry. That for those of us that have been around for a minute, he talked about what he called years ago called the random ranking factor, and that just the reason I'm bringing this up is because James is saying that his directory, which he hasn't done much optimization work or anything else, it seems to be ranking well. Could be a random ranking factor that's positive in this case. A lot of the times the random ranking factors goes in the negative direction. What is that? The random ranking factor is a process that Terry Kyle used to use, and I tested this years ago with a plumbing site that I had to build for a new plumbing contractor client that I got. I think this was back in either 2013 or 2014, so that long ago. Anyway, he talked about if you're going to go target, like to build a site, and for whatever keyword or whatever, and again, I tested this with a local plumber in Manassas, Virginia. Anyway, he said, if you're going to go to build a site, like before you go full on with building a site on a particular domain, he goes, go out and buy like 5 domains and slap up a WordPress site, or you could do it with HTML probably. But at the time it was WordPress is what he suggested, but slap up a WordPress site with some just basic optimization, title tag, a little bit of content that was optimized fairly well, things like that. And slap up the same basic site on all 5 domains and put them into a rank tracker for whatever you optimized it for. Nothing super hard or anything else. And just let it sit, wait for them to index and everything else for about 2 weeks or whatever. And then go look at the rank reports for each one of those. And they're all optimized, the same keyword, the same content, everything. I guess you could vary the content up slightly, but it's the same keyword. And he said, what happens is you'll notice usually like 1, sometimes 2 of those sites will rank much better than the other ones. And how is that? Why is that? Like if it's pretty much the same content, the same structure of the site, same type of platform, WordPress in this case, and really nothing is different, why is it that some will outrank the others considerably better? And that's why he termed the coined the term, random ranking factor. He said there's really no rhyme or reason to it. And that's, I think, where I got the term algorithmic anomaly. He said it's just an algorithm, like when algorithms have, strange things occur within algorithms at times. And so sometimes like just the same, like having the same domain or the same site structure that's optimized similarly across 5 different domains, as an example, just to test, you'll see that like one will outperform all the others. And that's the domain now that you select and build your site on. It's just because of the random ranking factor. And so perhaps, James, your directory site just happened to be one of those types of domains that Google just likes for whatever reason. And I've actually experienced that, guys, like where and by the way, if you guys have ever built a site that just never performs well, like ever, no matter what you do, it might be a random ranking factor, you know, on the negative side of it, right? It could just be that Google just doesn't like the domain for some reason. Is there a rhyme or reason to it? I don't know. It could just be an algorithmic anomaly. But it was interesting because I tested that with, like I said, a plumber, and I did it on 5 different sites. And sure enough, I found one domain out of the 5 that ended up performing a lot better than the other 4. And so that's what I ended up building the site on. So I haven't actually done that in quite some time, but I know that that's still a thing. You know what I mean? Because sometimes we find things that we just can't explain why they're ranking well. We talked about that a little bit last week. There are times where offline marketing can help something to rank. And so you won't see that in the digital metrics. But there's other times where things won't rank and there's no rhyme. There's no way you can figure it out. You know what I mean? So that might be a random ranking factor.